Hello students, welcome back. We will continue from the previous lecture where we have seen the methodology and morphology of the design. Now in this lecture our main topic is optimum design, but before starting with the optimum design we will first see the creativity concept and modeling concept of the design. Now as the word suggests, creativity of design or creativity in design phase. So before starting with the creativity, let us discuss our previous concept of design phase, where we have seen the three phases. In first phase of the morphology, we have seen the feasibility of the study. Second, we have preliminary design, and in third phase of the design phase, we have seen the detailed design. Now once we come to the stage preliminary design, this creativity in the design comes into the picture. Now why? Because in the first phase, that is feasibility study, we first check only whether the solution is feasible or not, and we come to the conclusion of some conceptual designs. Now in preliminary design, we decide some ideas, and based on that we start on the working. Now when we start on the working of a design or working of some model, we have to deal with this creativity. Now what is creativity? So creativity is nothing but it is an ability to synthesize new combinations of ideas and concepts into the meaningful and useful forms. Okay, so creativity is nothing but it is one of the most important quality in which a designer or design engineer should possess. Okay, now creativity process can be viewed as moving from an amorphous idea to well structured idea. Now this is nothing but some conceptual level we have thought of something and we are actually working to create some design through some using some softwares or through some sketches, rough sketches. So that is nothing but we have to develop something from scratch, that is amorphous idea, to we have to give into a particular shape, and that is nothing but a structured idea we have to develop. So that is nothing but your creativity. So from unorganized to organized. So this is nothing but in general we have to create something out of scratch and we have to give it into a proper mathematical values. Now this includes the following steps. First, develop a creative attitude. So that is nothing but a conceptual idea. Unblock the imagination. Whatever you have imagined, you have to plot it on particular mathematical models or structures, or you have to draw it in form of some rough sketches. Now be persistent. Develop an open mind. That is nothing but you have to accept some ideas or suggestions from your colleagues and you have to develop or you have to work on that ideas, and you have to try to implement those ideas into your suggestions. Now suspend the judgment at early stages. That means you have made some mind that this idea is going to work, and suppose you have some consequences where you have to deal with some difficulties. So in that case you have to accept those errors and you have to openly go for the new concept. So this is nothing but suspend the judgment at early stage. Or suppose you have got some suggestion from your colleagues or your team members, and you are not accepting that suggestion, saying that no, my idea is perfect and I am going to work on that, and this idea will definitely work in practice. Now there may be some loopholes that you might have overlooked and you have to accept those, and you have to suspend your judgment at early stage. Now set the problem boundaries. That means any design engineer cannot explore all the boundaries or limits of particular problem. There may be n number of solutions and a particular design engineer cannot solve all the aspects or all the problems at one go. So you have to set your limits, or you have to set your problem boundaries, and then you have to work for the creativity in your design. Now once you have your creativity, or you have finalized some idea, you have to go for the modeling of your idea, or nothing but modeling of design. Now modeling is what? Modeling is nothing but it is an art of abstracting your idea by representing it through some objects, through some system, or through some phenomenon. Or let's say you have some model, so you have to plot, you have to sketch it. So that is nothing but your modeling. So what type of modeling areas you can explore? So you can explore some ideas through some physical modeling. Some ideas you have to plot it through some equations. So only design part could be there. So it is nothing but mathematical modeling. Then some ideas may be only geometrical, so that you can refer some CAD softwares or any other design software, and you can go for geometric modeling. Or in some cases you have to deal with the geometric and mathematical, both the modeling concepts, and you have to develop your modeling. Now since we have covered creativity and modeling of design, now we can check for the optimum solution that comes into the third part of morphology of your design, that is detailed design. And that is nothing but your optimum design. Now once you finalize some rough ideas, you have to start working on that, and out of 2 to 3 or 4, some might have more number of ideas, you have to come to the conclusion that there is only one solution which could be optimum. Now what is mean by optimum? Optimum is nothing but which is having highest efficiency, which is cost efficient, which is avoiding multiple errors. So ultimately you should get highest efficiency at lowest cost. So that has to be the aim of any design, and that is nothing but your optimum design. So let's try to define it in the general way first. So it is a real challenge for any design engineer to design an efficient as well as cost effective system without compromising its integrity. Now what is integrity? Integrity is nothing but your level of performance, or it is the quality of the output product. Now this task is facilitated by optimum design. That is nothing but this task or this operation can be only achieved by having optimum design. So in general it means the best or the most suitable solution of all the feasible conceptual designs. So this is nothing but your optimum design. Functional parameter, second one material parameter, and third one geometrical parameters. Now functional requirement parameter is something where we have to look for the parameters which will affect or which will give you the end result of any design. Okay, so let's say we have example of spring, we are designing a spring, then our aim should be stiffness, correct? So in that the stiffness of a spring has to be as per the requirement. So that is our main aim. So we have to look for the max force exerted on the spring, and according to we have to choose the material, and accordingly we have to check for the ultimate end result of stiffness of a spring. So that is our functional requirement. So requirement which are must for proper functioning of the component are nothing but your functional requirement parameters. Okay. So functional requirement parameters are nothing but a parameter which are giving you the end result, or which will help you to achieve the end result after the application of that particular component. Now again, functional parameter are independent of this material parameter and geometric parameter as an individual. Now when we take it as a complete system, of course it is definitely it is dependent on the material and geometric parameter. Why? Because if you choose a spring of some different material, then that material properties will affect the stiffness. But when we consider it as a individual component or individual requirement, of course it is independent of the material, because every material has its own properties. So definitely the stiffness will going to be varied if we choose a different material. So whatever the best material we have, or to achieve the requirement, we have a functional requirement parameter as a individual parameter. Then coming back to the material parameters. Now whatever the parameters which will define or describe the material you have selected with its specification values is nothing but your material parameters. So let's say we have a modulus of elasticity, density, temperature resistance. So these are the properties of a material, and of course these are independent of functional requirement parameter and geometric parameter as an individual property. So that is material parameters. And third one is geometrical parameters. Now geometrical parameters are nothing but these are the parameters which will define your geometry of the component. Again, this is independent of other two parameters, that is functional requirement and material parameter. When we consider it as an individual parameter or individual design step, then it is independent. Now when we consider it as a whole system, of course it is dependent on the material and functional requirement. Now if we consider it as a gear module or length of a belt in case of conveyor belt, these are nothing but your geometrical parameters example. Then we will only focus for functional requirement parameters. Okay. Now why? Because it is the only parameter which is dealing with the end result. So these functional requirement parameters are again divided into two parts. First one is desirable functional requirement parameters and second one is undesirable functional requirement parameters. Now desirable means what? Our ultimate aim of any optimum design is to achieve maximum efficiency. So of course whatever the desirable parameters are there which are helping you to achieve the maximum efficiency are called as desirable functional requirement parameters. Now these are useful for functioning of mechanical element to perform satisfactorily. Then as we know that our ultimate aim is to achieve maximum efficiency, this has to be maximized for greater results. That means whatever the desirable parameters are there, those parameters if are maximized, then only you will get maximum efficiency. Correct? So examples are tensile strength and power transmission capacity. These are the two examples you can consider as a desirable functional requirement. Now what are the undesirable requirements? Now which does not affect the efficiency in practice. Now let's say example is cost of material. Now while designing, you are going to choose best material or you are going to choose the cheap material? No, definitely not. Since your ultimate aim is to achieve maximum efficiency, you will check for the material with highest strength, then material which will not rust, etc. So the cost of the material is your secondary requirement. Okay. So that is your undesirable functional requirement parameter. Now what we can say about undesirable? Now these are the parameters which can be overlooked you cannot neglect those, of course, since you have to go for the cost effective also. So you can neglect in only some cases, but you can definitely overlook. And if you are dealing with, or if you are only concerned about the functioning of the mechanical element, then of course you can overlook the price and you can go for the best material. Then you have to minimize these undesirable requirement parameters for the greater results. Okay, so next, now if we consider functional requirement parameters, then geometric parameters, and third one is material parameters. Then again, in this third step of morphology of design, that is detailed design, we are going to deal with this n number of solutions versus the best or the optimum solution. Now, where we are achieving only functional requirement as a result, that n number of solutions are considered as adequate design. It is not called as optimum design. Why? Only the ultimate requirement is being fulfilled without looking for the cost effectiveness of the product. So that's why it is called as adequate design. And versus we have to choose for the optimum design, where you are going to look for the, of course, functional requirement is the main priority, but along with that you are going to check for this optimum design also. So let's see adequate design first. Adequate design is nothing but a design which fulfills the main functional requirement of the component only. It will overlook your price part, it will overlook your efficiency part. So whatever the ultimate requirement of the component is there, you are going to only focus that particular requirement, functional requirement. So for any component in design phase, there could be n number of adequate designs or solutions, and that's why it is called as, it is a part of optimum design, it is not a optimum design. Versus if we consider optimum design, it is nothing but your best or most suitable design out of all the adequate design solutions you have made, or the feasible conceptual designs you have made, which fulfills the main functional requirement. Along with that, other parameters criteria also you have to fulfill, that is whatever the geometry you are going to choose, whatever the material you are going to choose. So along with the functional requirement, you have to check for the cost effectiveness also, and also the efficiency of the final design. So for any particular component, there could be only one optimum design which you can have. Now in our curriculum we have Johnson's method of optimum design, based on which we are having some numericals also. Okay, so it is the oldest design method for this optimum design, and based on some equations, this Johnson's method is further classified as primary design equations, then secondary or subsidiary design equations, and third is limit equations. Okay, so primary equations is what? Now we have optimum design, where we have the ultimate aim of designing the, or to achieve the functional requirement. Now whatever the equation, mathematical equation, or let's say geometric model you have, now whatever that mathematical equation which will satisfy that functional requirement of the design which will achieve the functional requirement. So what is mean by primary design equation? Most important equation which outlines the most significant functional requirement to be maximized or to be achieved, and along with that, or if it is not along with, then it is otherwise, the undesirable effect can be minimized, or whatever the equation through which your undesirable effect can be minimized, that particular equation is known as primary design equation. So let's say if we have example of, or we have to achieve the weight of, we have to achieve the component with minimum weight, then the minimum weight has to be your functional requirement criteria, and whatever the mathematical equation which will give you this weight equation is nothing but your primary design equation. Then subsidiary or secondary design equations. Now these are also important equations in your design phase, but along with your PDE, that is primary design equations. So these are nothing but all other equations or all other mathematical models which you have along with your primary design equations. So if again we consider same example, suppose we have to develop a shaft which is having a minimum weight and which will give you the ultimate strength requirement. So we have seen that the weight equation where we have to achieve minimum weight is your primary design equations, but along with that we have to deal with the stress. So whatever along with the weight equation we have dealing with the calculation of stress, so those stress equations are your subsidiary design equations, correct? Then third one is limit equations. Now what is mean by limit equations? Limit equations is nothing but the equations which will define a certain range of particular value instead of having a particular value of that particular parameter, correct? Now we have considered that stress, let's say ultimate tensile strength, okay, so which we can UT, ultimate tensile strength, which is denoted by sigma UT. Now we can say that this has to be less than or equal to 45 MPa. That means we are defining a range by saying less than or equal to. So this is your limit. Max to max you can have as 45 MPa. So 0 to 45 or whatever the range you are defining, that range is nothing but your limit equation. So whatever the quantities you are designing which are having a particular range, those equations which are giving you that particular value are known as limit equations, and this defines the satisfactory range of certain design parameter. Now these are also again important design equations, okay. So that is all about optimum design. Now this is just a part of optimum design. We have to again discuss this Johnson's method of optimum design, that we will continue in the next lecture.